Hey, everybody. Welcome to Blue Collar Leadership Live.
We're back for more, Rhea.
We're back for more. Yep. Yep. Still doing our thing. You're still married to me. We're still talking about leadership.
Yeah, so if any of you are wondering why we don't schedule this out, a lot of times people would think, well, if you schedule this when I know when you were going to do it, I could be there. But we're just going to do it whenever we have time to do it. And sometimes we may not be at home when we do it. We have to figure that out as we go. But today we want to talk to you about something that I actually wrote that's in my Blue Collar Leadership Leading from the Front Lines book. It's one of the chapters. It's actually chapter 5. There is an I in team. We always hear, or I heard growing up, and I validated, a lot of other people hear this, that you always hear there is no I in team. And I believe exactly the opposite. I believe there is an I in team. Every single person on that team is an individual that's contributing to that team.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on who they are and how they are, it's going to have a big impact, either a positive impact on the team or negative impact on the team.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, I've heard the same thing. There's no I in team. The team is all about everybody as a whole collectively. But there is an I in team because every team is made up of individuals, and every individual has influence, either positive influence or negative influence. And I guarantee you've seen this in your experience. I know I've seen it in mine, where there is a team, existing team, and we maybe hire somebody new or onboard somebody new into our team, but that one person derails the sense of teamwork completely.
It doesn't take but one eye, a toxic eye, a toxic individual to ruin the entire team. And a lot of people ask us if we do any team building, development, training, exercises, that sort of thing. And a lot of times what they mean, we don't do anything like rope courses, any things like that with people. We don't stand you up on a table and let everybody catch you and all that. All that stuff's great for relationship building, but it's not great for necessarily character building. The character of the individuals on the team is going to determine how well the team works together. If you want to have a high performance team, you got to have a lot of high character individuals on that team. So I want to read you a quote. I got a little handout right here. Rhea and I just happen to be, we're also this month, we're recording and creating and developing some online training. We get so many requests. Do we have any online training? So we're going to create it. It's going to be kind of like this, but slightly different. The participants will be able to download a handout, and this is actually the participants guide through that we're using with that. And the first one we're going to do is my book right here, Blue Collar Leadership Leading from the Front Lines. We'll have a 30-part video series on that. But I want to read on chapter 5, there is an I in team. And it's a quote from Paul Bear Bryant. Some of you in college football may remember him as he was one of the big dog coaches out there. Been a while back, and he's no longer with us. But he said this when he was leading the University of Alabama football team as a head coach. He says, "I'm just a plow hand from Arkansas, but I have learned how to hold a team together, how to lift some men up, how to calm others down, until finally they've got one heartbeat together as a team. There's always just 3 things I say. If anything goes bad, I did it. If anything goes semi-good, we did it. If anything goes real good, they did it." That's all it takes to get people to win. And that's pretty powerful. But the reason I want to share that, and the reason I opened that chapter in that book with that quote, is when we talk about the team is just not the people on the front lines. The team is everybody. You hear me say, if you follow me, you know that our whole thing is we help leaders engage the front line to improve the bottom line by developing the frontline blue collar workforce, those who lead them and those who support them. That means the entire team, all the individuals, the people doing the work, the people supporting those folks doing the work, and the people leading both groups of those people, the leaders of the support team and the leaders of the workforce.
And when I think about what you're saying is that it's everybody on the team, I do think about the silos that often pop up in an organization. And maybe it's a silo of the office workers versus those who are on the floor doing the actual work, those who support them might be the people in the nice air conditioned office. And sometimes it's hard to think that they are, members of the team too, if we're not working on everybody's character and how we interact with each other.
Yeah, a while back we went to a $1 billion company, and we went in and we did book studies.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's, we call it a book study, but it's really leadership development, a micro session.
Building character-based leaders sessions.
Yeah, and it was phenomenal. We got to go in. We led 110 people, leaders, formal authority leaders, out of about an 1,800 employee operation, through 3 chapters per week on blue collar leadership and supervision, unleash your team's potential. But all of those were individuals. They were all formal authority leaders. And what we were able to do through that book study development session was to help them look in the mirror as leaders, as individuals. Who am I relative to my team? How is my character or lack of character impacting the output of my team, impacting the morale of my team? And those folks, again, we covered 3 chapters for 10 days in a row, covered 30 chapters with them, the entire book. And after just 3 or 4 days, they were completely different people. They had already shifted their mindset. They had a whole completely different level of awareness.
Yeah. And, they took advantage of our special offer. And that's one reason we do the special offer, is that large companies like that can get a lot of books and resources for their team members and take advantage of a lot of hours of our on-site support.
Yep. They bought like $100,000 worth of books.
That's a lot of books.
3 books for every team member, 1,800 people. So a lot of investment. But I just want to share with you, when we go back to talking about the individual impact on the team. When I was a frontline entry-level worker, I'm talking about way back in the 1900s.
How old are you?
54, Rhea. So it's been a while. But basically those, really when I was younger, like I started working in manufacturing plants basically when I was 18. And those first 3 or 4, 5 years, maybe, especially, I mean, I was rough. I was raw. I was very narcissistic. I was just focused on me. I wasn't a good team member. I would have been one of the toxic team members. Mm-hmm. Not for everybody, because the people who were like me and shared my character, we were very close. We were the troublemakers, right? We associated with each other, but then we caused a lot of other people problems. We caused our bosses a lot of problems. We caused upper level managers problems. I used to stay in trouble, but I share that because I never got fired. I got promoted repeatedly throughout my career. In the book, Blue Collar Leadership, Leading from the Front Lines, over here, I talk about how I got promoted 14 times in my 20-year career. And I was toxic for a long time, but I still got promoted.
Bad. I married you.
Well, I was 30 when I met you, Rhea. But the whole point is, none of the organizations I worked in ever developed us. They wanted us all to work together, to be a better team, but they never taught us how to even be a better person.
Right, what it means.
Much less how to be a better team. And that's what Rhea and I do today. It's why I'm so passionate for the blue collar workforce, because hardly ever do they get any development.
When I think about this too, this applies in personal relationships. I guarantee you, we've probably all had the experience of a close relationship or even a friendship where, for whatever reason, one person has influence, but that individual, maybe something's not going right in their life, and they become toxic. And when that one person becomes toxic, the relationship can become toxic, right? And there again, we have to make sure that as individuals, we are growing, because every individual impacts the team.
Yeah, and I always say, let's say we had a team of 10 people, and we're a high performance team. We're out there killing it. For whatever reason, we've become very aligned on our mission and our vision, our values, everything very much aligned. And someone gets hired in and brought in for whatever reason, and they're not with us. And so they can contaminate our team, so to speak. Literally, when they come in, they contaminate the team. And us going out to do rope courses and doing all these things that you normally consider as being a team building session, it's not going to improve the character of this person. It may build our relationships a little, but it's not really going to improve the character of this person. And then you can imagine bringing someone in who's been going through all this type of development. Maybe they worked at another company where they did this type of stuff all the time, and they were growing and going on their own. They were reading books and trying to learn how to apply this stuff in their personal life before they ever joined the team. When that person joins the team, say if we got a 10 person team, high performance team, this person joins us, they're gonna automatically gel. We ain't got to go through any team development to get this person on the team to be a part of us accomplishing the mission. It's going to happen automatic. So if you lead a team, you neither hope and wish that they would get better, or you can be intentional about it and actually grow and develop them and help them get better. But if you're a formal authority leader and you're not doing any development for your team, where's the problem, Rhea?
As you say that, I just have this mental image or analogy of like a big boat, maybe one of those rafts you go whitewater rafting in, and there's like 6 or 7 people, right? And everybody's got a paddle, and the leader is the one, calling out, hey, paddle on the left, paddle on the right, for everybody to start paddling. But if you just have one person who's not paddling the way everybody else is, it can really affect where the boat goes in the river, right? Because when it comes to teamwork, we want everybody paddling in the same direction at the same time to get effectively through the water. And from an organizational standpoint, it's the same way. We want every member of the team to be working toward the goals of the team, right? Because the mission, we've got to accomplish the mission, and it does take teamwork to do that. We have to have a high performing team in order to accomplish the goals. Nobody ever says that reaching all of our goals in an organization or a business is too easy, right? I've never heard any leader yet say that. It's always a challenge. There's always obstacles. We're trying to do more with less. We're trying to do more with less resources or fewer people. And so that's one reason it's so important, is to help everyone grow to their potential, because we need everybody who's in our boat rowing. We cannot afford to be just hauling people along if they're not helping us reach the goal.
Yeah. And there's some of you probably have heard of Jocko Willink, and he's got a phenomenal story about the boats on the beach. You want to tell that real quick?
Sure. So he talks about, if you're not familiar with him, he has a book called Extreme Ownership, but he tells
he's a former Navy SEAL commander.
Yep. And he tells the story that after being active as a Navy SEAL commander, he goes back and is now in the training season where he's training the new recruits. And he shares a story about sitting on the bank during one of their training exercises. And it was a training exercise where they take the new recruits through what they call Hell Week, which basically they put them through extreme.
And recruit, really not the right word, Rhea, but they're already in the Navy, but they want to be a Navy SEAL. So they didn't get recruited. They volunteered to be there.
Thank you. As you can tell, I'm not in the Navy, so I don't know the lingo.
But they can drop out at any moment. They just have to go ring a bell and say, I give up, and quit. And they go back to their regular job.
So they're going through this whole week of just extreme challenges, mental tests, physical abilities. They don't let them sleep for like days at a time, which you may or may not know that your brain doesn't work very good if you don't get enough sleep. And so what they're doing is they break everybody up into 6 teams, and every team has a raft. And basically they put them out there, and the rafts are all racing one another. And the reward for the team that wins is they get to sit out the next round of races, which if you are physically exhausted, that's a really attractive reward, right? Well, he's telling the story. He's like sitting on the bank and watching as these 6 rafts compete. And he notices that raft number 1 always comes in first, and raft number 6 always comes in last. So he says, let's try something. So he takes the leaders of those 2 groups and he switches them. And the only changes he makes is he takes the leader from raft number 1 and puts them in raft 6. And he takes the leader from raft 6 and put them in raft 1.
So he put the first place leader in the last place boat.
Yeah.
And put the last place boat leader in the first place boat.
And what was interesting was the very next race, that raft that had been coming in last place every single time, raft number 6, now came in first place. And raft number 1 that had been winning all the races up until now came in second place.
Yeah, they were probably dragging that leader behind the raft.
That's the only thing that had changed, was the two leaders of the teams had changed.
And we see it all over the place. There's examples of this all over the place. I mean, you literally can see it. I mean, if you're into college football right now, you can see it with Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. And
you're in dangerous territory. You're talking about.
Well, I'm not
football.
I don't even really watch college football, but I like leadership, and he's leading that team. They were 1-11 last year. They changed leaders. You know, Coach Prime wasn't there last year. So they were 1-11 with the previous coach. He comes in, he starts leading a different way. He builds himself, keeps some team members, gets rid of some, brings in some more, and they start the season off 1-0. How are they going to do the rest of the season? We don't know, but what I'm talking to you about is there is an I in team. The leader is also one of those individuals that's on a team. And that leader is a critical component. Many leaders, we hear them, they blame the team. Whenever I hear a leader blaming the team, I know exactly what's wrong with the team. The leader who's blaming the team.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you the last place boat, when they were in the last place with the last place leader, he probably was blaming those people the entire time. Probably as soon as the first place boat leader got into the last place boat, first thing he started doing probably was expressing belief in them. There ain't no probably about it. It's absolutely true. And he helped them believe in themselves. And that's what people do. It doesn't matter if you lead at that level and motivate and inspire others. Is that enough for today, Rhea?
Yeah, just to wrap up on what you're talking about, I think it does come down to that belief and that encouragement, and that's the leader's responsibility. So absolutely, I forget who said it, but there aren't any bad teams, just the bad or ineffective leaders.
Oh, I will leave you with that quote since we're talking about football. A quote from Peyton Manning.
Okay.
One of my favorite teamwork quotes. He says, "The most valuable player is the player who makes the most players valuable." And it doesn't matter who you are. If you're the person that makes the most players on your team valuable, you're the most valuable player.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very powerful point, right? When we're adding value to other people, that is that leadership responsibility, because we are helping everybody else be successful.
All right. Talk to y'all next time.